Are you secretly sabotaging your own gains? I sure was. Picture this. I'm hanging from a pull-up bar, violently flailing, trying to get my first muscle up. Spoiler alert, I didn't get it. In fact, I spent months training hard with almost nothing to show. Why? I was making 5 huge calisthenics mistakes that were killing my progress. If you're into calisthenics or just getting started, listen up. These 5 mistakes can stall your muscle growth, slow your strength gains, and even set you up for injury. I've been there, and I've got the research to back it up. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid each one. Stick around for mistake number 5. Even advanced athletes miss this, and it might be the reason your progress has flatlined. Trust me, you don't want to learn these lessons the hard way like I did. When I first started calisthenics, I was that guy who wanted to muscle up on day 1. The allure of flashy skills, muscle-ups, planches, front levers, was just too strong. I jumped straight for them without building a base. And guess what? I ended up with sloppy form and 0 gains to show for it. I vividly recall trying to fling myself over the bar for a muscle-up when I could barely do 5 clean pull-ups. I looked like a fish out of water, and my shoulders weren't too happy about it either. This is the first big mistake: chasing advanced skills before building foundational strength. It's like trying to build a house starting with a roof. It's going to collapse. Let's break down why this kills your gains. Without a foundation of pulling and pushing strength, your body can't perform advanced moves correctly. You compensate with momentum in bad form just to get the skill. That means the target muscles aren't getting challenged properly. For example, if you attempt a planche without solid push-up and dip strength, you'll likely sag your hips or bend your arms, turning a strength move into a sloppy mess. One training guide puts it plainly: failing to progress gradually can stall your results. You should avoid jumping straight to advanced movements without first mastering the basics. Skipping the basics doesn't just stall progress, it can send you backwards. According to the Movement Athlete Academy, doing advanced calisthenics movements when you're not ready often leads to complete stagnation or worse, injury. You can tear muscles or strain joints by tackling moves your body isn't conditioned for. In my case, I was lucky I didn't hurt myself beyond a tweaked shoulder. So, what should you do instead? Master the basics. Build a base of strength with fundamental exercises: pull-ups, push-ups, dips, squats, and core work. Think of it as leveling up in a video game. You unlock the muscle-up level only after you've beaten the pull-up level. In my journey, I eventually stepped back and spent time going from 5 pull-ups to 15, from 10 push-ups to 30, and building rock-solid form on dips. Once I did that, the muscle-up came almost naturally. Fitness coaches consistently emphasize that mastering basic calisthenics movements sets the best foundation for maximum progress. When you earn your way to advanced skills by building strength first, you'll perform them with proper form, meaning more muscle engagement and growth. Plus, you drastically cut the risk of injury because your tendons and stabilizers are prepared. Take it from me, don't put the cart before the horse. Lay the groundwork, and the flashy moves will come in due time, and look a whole lot cleaner when they do. Now that we've established the importance of a solid foundation, let's look at the opposite problem: trying to do everything at once. After I finally got my first muscle up, I felt invincible, maybe a little too invincible. In my excitement, I made the next big mistake. I started training every skill under the sun, all at the same time. I had one day dedicated to handstand practice, another to planche, another to front lever, and I was throwing in one-arm pull-up training whenever I could. The result? I was busy as heck, and making virtually 0 progress in any of them. It was like trying to learn 5 musical instruments simultaneously. You make a lot of noise, but no music. Training overload is real. When you attempt to develop multiple high-skill moves at once, you spread your body's adaptive energy too thin. Instead of a laser focus that forces your body to adapt, you give it a dozen mixed signals. Sports science calls this the SAID principle: specific adaptation to imposed demands. Your body adapts to what you specifically train. If you're imposing too many different demands at once, the adaptation to each is diluted. In my case, my sessions were long and exhausting, but because I was doing too much stuff without focus, I saw minimal improvements. I felt burned out and frustrated. Sound familiar? Expert advice backs this up strongly. Doing too many exercises or skills in the same phase of training will hamper your progress. One calisthenics coaching resource notes 2 big problems with trying to train everything at once. First, doing too many exercises will not help you develop enough towards a specific goal. If you're aiming to master one-arm pull-ups, but you're also cramming in planche, handstand, the latest TikTok ab challenge and whatnot, none of those goals get the attention they need. You end up a jack of all trades, master of none. Second, your body and nervous system need adequate recovery. Skill training is taxing. Overloading on exercises leads to fatigue and burnout before you've made meaningful progress on your main goal. I learned this the hard way when I'd wake up with sore shoulders from planche attempts, a sore back from front lever training, and a fried CNS from trying max hold handstands daily. Every muscle group was perpetually tired, and I plateaued on all fronts. The cure? Prioritize and periodize. Pick 1 or 2 major skills to focus on at a time, and make them the centerpiece of your routine. It doesn't mean you can't practice others at all, but something has to take priority while other things take a back seat. For example, I eventually chose to focus on improving my handstand and my weighted pull-ups. I maintained my planche and front lever with just light practice or easier progressions, but I wasn't pushing them simultaneously. Lo and behold, with all my resources directed to fewer goals, I started progressing again. It's like shining a magnifying glass on one spot. That's when things heat up. As a coach on the Movement Athlete puts it, if you have a specific goal, you have to train specifically for that goal, rather than scattering your efforts in 10 directions. Remember, you can achieve anything, but not everything, at least not all at once. Master one skill, then move on to the next. Your gains will thank you. Having a clear focus is great, but you also need the right tools for growth. This leads us to mistake number 3, a trap many calisthenics purists fall into. For a long time, I identified as a bodyweight only guy. I thought using weights was somehow cheating or would ruin the aesthetics of my calisthenics physique. Big mistake. Neglecting weighted calisthenics or external resistance is a surefire way to cap your muscle growth. Here's the truth. At a certain point, just doing more reps of push-ups or pull-ups isn't enough to keep getting stronger or bigger. I hit that point about a year into training. I could do 20 pull-ups and 40 push-ups, but I wasn't looking much more muscular than when I did half those numbers. Why? Because I hadn't increased the intensity of my training, only the volume. There's a limit to how far pure body weight can take your hypertrophy, and science backs this up. Yes, calisthenics can absolutely build muscle, especially for beginners, but eventually, you need to increase resistance to keep growing. One evidence-based fitness article explains that you can raise training volume by more reps or sets up to a point, but after this, training intensity needs to be increased for muscle growth to occur. Weighted calisthenics should be used once volume can no longer be increased. In other words, when 3 sets of 15 dips no longer challenge you, you have to either choose a much harder variation or simply add weight. If you don't, your body has no reason to add more muscle. It's already adapted to the load of your body weight. A comprehensive review from Better Me echoes this. As you become stronger, pure calisthenics may eventually reach a ceiling for muscle growth. Body weight alone doesn't provide sufficient resistance for continued growth. This isn't a knock on calisthenics. It's just the principle of progressive overload. Your muscles need increasing stimulus to keep adapting. From personal experience, the day I swallowed my pride and strapped on a dip belt with some weight plates, I saw a breakthrough. My reps dropped initially, but within weeks, I noticed my chest and triceps looking fuller. The same happened when I started doing weighted pull-ups and even weighted push-ups with a plate on my back. My back and biceps finally started growing again. And here's the funny part. I didn't lose my calisthenics look. I still had a lean, defined physique, just with more muscle on it. Using weights strategically enhanced my calisthenics performance too. Pull-ups with 20 kilograms added made bodyweight pull-ups feel like feathers. When I went back to advanced moves like muscle-ups or front levers, I had new reserves of strength. Research supports this approach. One 2018 study found that a progressive push-up program produced comparable strength gains to the bench press. The key is progression. If you're a purist who refuses to touch iron, you can still progress by shifting to harder bodyweight moves, which effectively increase resistance by leveraging more body weight on one limb. But that path can be very slow and limited. The simplest way to ensure progressive overload is to add external weight. A weight vest, a dip belt, or even holding a dumbbell between your feet for pull-ups. I integrated weightlifting from the start of my journey. Yes, I cheated on calisthenics with the gym, and I never stopped doing bodyweight work either. This hybrid approach gave me the best of both worlds, the skill and stability from calisthenics, and the raw strength and size stimulus from weights. Don't be afraid that weighted calisthenics will make you too bulky or immobile. Used smartly, it will just make you stronger and more muscular, while maintaining that calisthenics mastery of your body. In fact, many of the calisthenics greats incorporate weighted pull-ups, dips, or squats as they advance. So grab that dip belt. It's not cheating, it's leveling up. Now, adding weight is one way to push yourself, but what if you're holding yourself back by being too strict? Mistake number 4 is a counterintuitive one about form. This might surprise you. Chasing perfect form can sometimes hold you back. Early in my training, I refused to do a rep unless it was textbook perfect. On pull-ups, I'd stop at 8 pristine reps instead of pushing for a shaky 9, thinking I was doing the smart thing. The result? I stayed stuck at 8 for months. The problem is, if you never push into that slightly imperfect territory, you're not truly challenging your limits. A little controlled form breakdown at the end of a tough set isn't the same as dangerous sloppy lifting. It's how your body learns to handle more. Even legends like Arnold used cheat reps to break plateaus, overloading the muscles past strict form failure so they could grow stronger. In calisthenics, that might mean a small kip after strict pull-ups fail, or bending the knees slightly on the last handstand push-up. The key is control, not flailing through the whole set, but letting the final rep or two test your limits. That's how my 8 perfect pull-ups became 12 slightly ugly ones, which eventually became 12 clean ones. Form matters for safety, but don't be a perfectionist prisoner. Push yourself past comfort, then work on cleaning up that rep at your new strength level. Progress over perfection. That's where real gains happen. Ever see someone banging out quarter squats or half pull-ups? Don't be that person. I used to stop my pull-ups with my arms slightly bent or do dips only halfway down, thinking I was keeping tension. In reality, I was avoiding the hardest parts, the fully stretched and fully contracted positions, and it left me with glaring weak spots. I could rep out half pull-ups, but dead hangs humbled me, and muscle-ups felt impossible. The truth is, your muscles are weakest at the extremes, and if you never train there, you'll always stall at those sticking points. You're also more likely to get injured, because untrained joints and tendons are fragile at those angles. Once I started doing full range of motion, dead hang pull-ups, deep dips, and even pausing at the top or bottom, my strength exploded and my shoulder aches disappeared. The fix is simple. Train the full range deliberately. Lock out, deep hang, and go as low or high as your mobility allows. Add pauses at the bottom or top, hold end positions, and gradually push those extremes. You'll build power where you're weakest, improve mobility, and bulletproof your joints. Bottom line, don't do your reps halfway. The toughest inches are where real progress happens. If you want to learn the differences between hypertrophy and strength training, make sure to watch the next video.